Good afternoon, folks. Today we're going to talk about modifying, reusing stuff that you got hanging around the homestead, but you doesn't quite do the job, and you kind of want to build something different with it. Well, in this case, here kind of around in front of me is an old blade of some sort somebody built. They tried to match it up to my little tractor. It'll work, but it doesn't do a good job of it. It's really heavy, hard to work with, doesn't sit right when it's connected to the tractor. So today, I'm going to cut this blade in half. Okay. Now, I'm going to do that with a plasma cutter, which I got here. Not typically something you would have at your homestead. I have it because I like to build stuff out of metal. So I do have a plasma cutter. So in order to do this, if you're using a plasma cutter, I put down a guide beam so I can just run my plasma cutter along and hopefully I get a semi-straight line. Now a plasma cutter is the exact opposite of a welder. Okay, a plasma cutter uses high heat electricity to melt the metal, and it uses air to blow the molten metal out of what's melted. And that's basically, it creates about a 1/4 inch gap between the metal, so you're going to cut it in half. If you're using a plasma cutter and you got a guide, be aware that, I don't know how well you can see this, but the nozzle for the plasma cutter is dead center. You're going to have to offset your guide the amount of this to the center of your nozzle. That's one trick to remember. Now these are pretty easy. This is a cheapie. It's a Chinese knockoff. You run about 500 bucks in Canada. Now as a homesteader, you're probably isn't something that you're going to invest in unless you plan on doing lots of metal work. Over time you'll kind of see its advantages, but again, very limited on a homestead. Very limited in the chance that you're going to actually use it. So I'm going to show you how a plasma cutter works. I'm not going to show you the whole blade because it's going to take me a while. I'll stop after the first couple inches and stop the video. But if you're wondering how to work with heavy metal, and if you want to fabricate things like I do, I'm too cheap to buy things. I tend to look around for stuff off of a marketplace or anywhere that I can pick up for cheap and do some slight modifications to make it work for my application. I'll go that route. But in this case, this blade was hanging around my property, so I'm just going to modify it, add some metal to it, and I'll show you how I did it, how I'm going to make a push blade for my front end loader so that I can use it to level the lawn a bit better and to plow snow with it. Anyway, so here we go. Some safety factors. Again, you're using molten metal, so you're going to see some very bright light. You're going to have metal flying around. Another trick before you get started is make sure you grind down your metal. You have to create an electrical circuit. So if you can't create the circuit, you're not going to create the arc. Time you twist this, you create a bigger gap or a bigger cut. So that's basically how you cut with a plasma cutter. Now I'm going to finish it, and I'll show you the outcome and the next steps on building this plow. Anyway, have a good afternoon, and stay tuned for the next part.